And I must stress that all our services are free. We do not charge for anything at all. For once a student comes to our office and leaves our office, he or she is receiving free service from beginning to the end. We do not charge, I must repeat, for any destination we counsel students to. So I need to, emphasize that as well. So moving on to Canadian study webinar while we are here. I believe it's a popular destination that we all know about, basically. And it's something that we've all been accustomed to. North America, Canada, the US borders it. You can see the large-scale section of the map here showing Canada, which has a land-wide landmass, and it borders the US, 10 provinces, 3 territories, and over 200 languages spoken. So why do students want to study in Canada? I mean, that's one of the reasons why we're all here, to learn or to know why it's an attractive destination for students anyway. Some of the attraction tends on the fact that the educational quality in Canada is of top notch, compared to the rest of the world, and it's affordable. You can, it's affordability is relative, but generally speaking, when you compare Canada across board with other advanced countries, you find that it's actually cheaper to study in Canada comparatively when you look at it, when you break down the tuition fees, and this is something that makes a lot of students to gravitate towards Canada as a study destination. Canada has so many iconic features that also attract people, so some of the places that students always want to go is like the likes of Vancouver. You can see a picture of Vancouver embedded here. It's a very beautiful place. It's one of the warmest places in Canada to be. So it's a sought after destination for study. Another very popular city is Calgary. You can see from the picture here that the beautiful city of Calgary also hosts quite a number of universities as well. And it's always welcoming for students and different nationals around the world. Toronto is a very popular province. Basically, everybody wants to be in Toronto. It's like saying you want to go to London, basically, and it offers a lot. It's a very multicultural city, and it hosts a number of universities, high-ranked universities as well. Just a bit of digression. I mean, can anyone name some of these popular Canadians? You can just drop your answer in the chat box if you recognize any one of them. The four Canadians in the picture. Just drop your answers in the chat box. So if you still remember any one of them, basically, these are popular Canadians that we may all have come across, especially if we are, moviegoers. Yeah, somebody has just, recognized Justin Trudeau, Jim Carrey. Yeah, Celine Dion. Yeah, just one more to go. Yeah, so moving on. You can see that the Canadian education system is a bit broad. It has in it a lot of features, vocational study, interwoven with technical training, masters, colleges, of course, starting at the elementary level, basically. So whichever level of study that you want to go in for, there's always room for everyone, starting from foundation to undergraduate, vocational study, technical training, bachelor's degree, and up to PhD. Well, I must stress the fact that I know a number of our audience might well be looking at postgraduate study options. At the moment, we only have a very few postgraduate options. That's why we've listed them here. The schools that we work with that have postgraduate courses on offering. So you can see some of the courses here, basically, because at the end of this session, I know a lot of us might have questions to ask about different schools across Canada, but the field that we work with that offers postgraduate masters is the one I've listed here. For undergraduate courses and programs, we have endless options for that as well. I mean, if you're interested in undergraduate studies foundation, just contact us. We'll definitely be able to find something for you. But for postgraduate, we are limited for now, even though we're trying to, engage more schools. But the few schools that we have for now are the ones that are displaying the courses, basically, so that, we manage your expectation as regards that, because I know majority of our audience might be looking at master's option, but the few we have is what I've displayed. So you can just note that as well. But for undergraduate, we have endless options. So you can always contact us for whatever courses you want to do at the undergraduate level. So you can see some of the partner universities that we work with here. We've put the icons there just for you to know that, these are the partners that we, at the moment, work with, and as time goes by, we have more partners. We'll definitely communicate that across. I must mention, the pandemic and how Canada is reacting to it. At the moment, if you secure a study visa to study in Canada, you're definitely allowed to come into Canada. But then there's a recent announcement, as we know that these things are changing, the way different governments are responding to it changes, that when you come into Canada, you should have done, a COVID test. And I think at the point that you come in, you might also be subjected to further testing too as well. But if anything changes, definitely we will inform you. So we all know that one of the areas that seems very tricky for students that want to study in Canada, especially from Africa and Nigeria, is the visa section. So we know that that area is one of the reasons why some of us haven't joined us. And I think that the level of preparation that we put into applying for visa is what actually determines, how well our chances, how well we stand a chance of getting that visa. Some of the things that we need to ensure that we do, especially that the fact that, it's a bit tricky, it's that we need to ensure that we have our acceptance. We need to have a personal statement, which a lot of people don't pay attention to. Your level of study needs to be aligned with your previous academic background and should all fit in. So those are the kind of things that the embassy is looking for, and those are some of the things that we also help with. We do not guarantee anybody that they will get visa when they go through us, but we help ensure that your application meets the basic requirements, and that's one of the things that we pride ourselves in. So just note that for going forward. Time is of the essence. It takes time to apply for visas, and we know that the turnaround time for visas may actually differ because of COVID right now. So if you're applying for a visa, if you're applying for admission, you need to make sure that you apply on time so that you can secure your admission on time and also apply for visa on time. Accommodation options for students, basically. Accommodation is relative depending on where you want to stay and how big your budget is. But whatever the options are, our counselors are always able to advise you based on the school you're going, the best form of accommodation that's possible or that is available for you. I would also encourage you to use our services because it's completely free. Just like I mentioned at the beginning, if you want to apply to any of the schools that we showcased in this webinar, you can contact any of our counselors, and we have some designated Canadian counselors, which I'm actually displaying their numbers. Depending on which region of Nigeria you stay, you can copy down those numbers. For Lagos, Abuja, Victoria, and Ikeja, so you can contact our dedicated Canadian counselors that would be able to help you with your application and any other questions you may have after this webinar. So I want to thank you for tuning in. The next section is the interview of our guest. And Ikeda, can you please come up with the questions, please, for our guest? Ikeda, are you there?
All right, thank you, Mr. Yomi.
Okay.
Yes, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah.
Hello?
Yeah, I can
Oh,
hear you.
okay, okay.
Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Yomi, for that very brief, straight to the point presentation. So, like I mentioned earlier, we have the Trade Commissioner for the High Commission of Canada in Abuja, Mr. Okonkwo, and we do have some questions for him. So this would be like a brief interview. And then I would start by asking him a couple of questions which we've noticed are of interest to a lot of students seeking to study outside of Nigeria. And so after that, my colleague Deborah would pick questions from the chat box. So, like Mr. Yomi said earlier, before he commenced his presentation, please, any questions you have, especially relating to visa requirements, studying in Canada, and schools and all that, you can drop them in the chat box, and we will take them one after the other. If you want any question to be answered by the Trade Commissioner, please make sure that you indicate that you're directing that question to the Trade Commissioner so that we know that that question is for him directly. And if you want Mr. Yomi to answer a particular question, you can also indicate. Otherwise, our counselors are also in the chat room, making sure that any of your questions are being answered and taken care of. So, Mr. Okonkwo, good afternoon, sir.
Hi, Kenna. Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. Thank you for joining us once again. We do have a couple of questions for you. Um, so the first question is, can students travel for resumption of studies this fall? You know, because of the whole COVID situation and all that, a lot of students are concerned that would they be able to travel if they get their admissions and visas?
Ikenna, first of all, I should do two things. First of all, I really like to thank UKEAS for inviting me. It's really nice to be here. Yomi and I have been working together for quite a while, so I should just mention that I've known him for a few years, and I'm really happy that I could join here. And then second of all, my internet connection has been horrible all day. So if I need to turn off my video at some point, I'll just turn it off to improve the throughput. I hope you can hear me. Just let me know if you can't hear my sound at any point. So yes, the question is, can people travel? And yes, they can travel. However, there are big buts, not just to talk about between now and, I'm talking about, currently, trying to predict what will happen in the fall. I wouldn't even try because, COVID is changing almost on a daily basis. But if anybody in the audience gets admission now and gets a study permit approval, he or she will be given a letter of introduction, which they can take to the port of entry. And it means that they are exempt from loads of travel restrictions that are ongoing in Canada. Currently, I mean, just yesterday or the day before, there were additional restrictions that were introduced. So it's something that is incredibly fluid. It's something that is changing almost on a daily basis. My strongest advice for your audience is that before you get on any plane, before you make your travel plans, just check what's going on. Go on the IRCC website, on the CBSA website, and then check what the latest details are because they are changing almost on a daily basis. Just yesterday, I think it was, the government of Canada introduced an additional requirement that when you land, you have to stay in a government-approved hotel for 3 days before you take a COVID test. That may not apply to students. I'm not 100% sure. It may apply to students, but I think it's just something that everybody has to take the responsibility for finding out before they get on a plane. A couple of weeks ago, a father called me and said, "Oh, my wife and my son are stuck in Istanbul. They were flying, and even though they got to Istanbul from Lagos, they were told that they could not get on a plane to go to Toronto. So it's really important that you clear that up before you get on a plane. So that's the current situation. Talk less about how predicting what will happen in the fall. My suspicion or my hope is that between now and September, the government of Canada has made a lot of progress in vaccinations, and some of these travel restrictions can be lifted. But I think I'll just leave it at that for now, Ikenna. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. I think the most important thing is safety for everybody. So, yes, students should consider all those restrictions before traveling. There's no point, getting on a plane if you might not arrive at your destination. Okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for answering that, sir. Okay, so the second question we have is that it's been announced that the High Commission has introduced a new scheme that will ensure a quick turnaround for study visas in Nigeria. So how soon will this be implemented? Is it already in effect? That is, if it's not already in effect, how soon will it be implemented?
Okay, so it's called the Nigeria Student Express. And that was, first of all, I should say very quickly that I don't work for IRCC. I'm not an immigration officer. So everything I say here, please take it with a pinch of salt. Still do your own research. I've attended dozens of sessions with them, so I kind of know what's going on, and I try to keep informed because we have loads of questions when we speak to students. But just be aware that there's the Nigerian Student Express that was announced last January, so just over a year now. Because of COVID, I think it was suspended at the time that there were loads of restrictions, as we already mentioned. There are two important things with the Nigerian Students Express, and my suspicion is that over the next few months there will be an official announcement from Canadian Immigration, and I look forward to sharing the details with UKEAS, and I'm sure you'll see it all over the press. But there are two things that are important, and I think people should take note of. One is an IELTS result. So one of the requirements to be expedited in the Nigerian Student Express is producing an IELTS result. I know we Nigerians, we don't really like to write IELTS because, we studied in English, so it's not something that we like to do. But just for this scheme, one of the requirements is an IELTS result. If you don't want to write an IELTS result, you may not be eligible to be expedited. And the promise at the time was that those people who are eligible and who are processed to the Student Express, the turnaround time will be 2 weeks, which I was very excited about. We've seen delays that have gone to 3 months, 4 months, but they were promising 2 weeks. So I still hope that they introduce it and they make the announcement soon. The second thing, apart from the IELTS results, is something called My Bank Certificate. So that's incredibly important. Whether you're submitting IELTS or not, and I'll type the link in the chat as soon as possible so that people can go and familiarize themselves with that. In the past, you will submit, dozens of pages for your bank statement. Now you just go to this My Bank Certificate. A lot of banks, Nigerian banks, are already on the platform, and it generates a code that IRCC can use to verify your financial statements. So that's very important. Even if you can't do IELTS, or for whatever reason you don't want to do IELTS, please ensure that you make inquiries about My Bank Certificate and you use that one instead of I don't know, generating 40, 50 pages of bank statements, because at some point they will disregard those bank statements. So two important things are, there should be an announcement soon. Just to summarize, there should be an announcement soon on the Nigerian Student Express, IELTS, and My Bank Certificate.
Okay, thank you very much for that, sir. We have another question, very important question to most students. And the question is, how easy is it for a student to transition to an immigrant visa after studies?
Okay, so Canada is one of those countries. I think there's Australia, the UK has introduced a new scheme, but Canada has a fairly transparent pathway to move from being a student to being a permanent resident and possibly a citizen. So when you finish a program, there are some programs that are eligible. So without having to go into the details, I encourage people to go on the website and see if your school is eligible and if the program you want to do is eligible. after 1 year, you can get a postgraduate work permit. And then from there, you're also eligible to apply for permanent residence if your employer will sponsor you, or different measures, including one that has become very popular amongst Nigerians, which is the Canadian Express Entry. The Canadian Express Entry is an initiative to attract immigrants to Canada, and is a point-based system. And the fact that you've studied in Canada increases your points, and the fact that you've worked in Canada increases your points. So if you went to study in Canada, you finished a 1-year program or several other years, and then you work for at least 1 year, you become eligible for the Canadian Express Entry. And the fact that you have, both your Canadian education and Canadian work experience, it increases your points in the Express Entry. So there are several ways to go from point A as a student to point B as a permanent resident. And people can, study them and see how, where they would fit in and which ones they're eligible for. But yes, there is a transparent pathway to move from being a student to being a permanent resident in Canada. Kenna.
Okay, thank you very, very much. I think a lot of students should also make some research into those express entry platforms or pathways, so that they get more information about that. It's really, really important.
Yeah.
So we have a question.
Just one quick point.
Then,
I joined the High Commission in 2015. Between 2016 and now, the number of Nigerians that have moved to Canada as permanent residents has gone up by 200%, something like that. I think last year there were 12,000 Nigerians that got permanent residence visas, a 200% increase. So it's a massively popular initiative. If that is the person's interest, if you just want to go and study in Canada and come back and work in Nigeria, fantastic. We love you. In fact, the government of Canada has paid for an alumni association. The government of Canada has paid to set up an alumni association. So people who just want to go and study and come back, fantastic as well.
Oh, okay. Thank you for that, sir. So the fourth question is, what are the pitfalls students should be aware of when applying for a study visa?
Okay, so this is a tricky one, and this is another one that I have to remind people that I don't work for Canadian immigration. So this is based on my opinion and based on listening to people talk about it. I think the most important one, and it's really important, so it's my number one, is please do not submit any false documents. I hope you can hear me, Ikenna. There's some background
Yes,
noise.
we can, sir.
Can you hear me? Okay. So please do not submit any
loud.
false documents. It's just, it just makes things difficult for everyone. They have to investigate, blah, blah, blah. It spoils the chances of future Nigerians who are trying to study in Canada. And if they find you out, you get banned. And not only do you get banned, but the Canadian government works in close proximity with, the UK, the US, EU, and your details will be shared with those countries. So I just think, the risks are too high. Unfortunately, there are so many fraudulent documents that people just feel confident doing. And sometimes, to be incredibly honest, I know I'm saying this here, but sometimes it's the agents, that do that. So my second tip would be, it is your responsibility. It is your application. So even if you're working with an agent, and I must stress, I know very professional agents. I've dealt with very professional agents, but I've also dealt with very mediocre agents. So it's your responsibility, regardless of the agency you're using, if you're using an agent, to make sure that the documents he submits are representative of you. They will not ban the agent, they will ban you. So number one tip, do not submit any false documents. Two, the application is your responsibility. Just look through it and make sure that it is yours if you're working with an agent. The third one I would say is, it has to make sense. You know what I mean? I know Yomi talked about that in his presentation. And it's nice if you're 45 and you want to, go to school in Canada and, you've worked for 20 years. Now you want to go and do a 1-year degree in hospital management or something. As interesting as that is, just look through your application and make it make sense, if that's the right way to put it. And one of the ways to make it make sense is your personal statement. It's called the statement of purpose. To be incredibly honest, some people just leave that to the agency, or some people just, ask a friend, what did you submit last year? And they essentially copy and paste. These immigration officers, they've read a lot of these statements of purpose. So sometimes they just read the first paragraph and they know that they've seen it somewhere before. And they're not just encouraged to read more. So please make it make sense. The statements of purpose must reflect why you want to study this program, why now, and why Canada. Why you want to study this program, why now, why Canada. So, whatever you need to explain it in the statement of purpose and make it make sense. I'm just being careful here because I don't work for IRCC, but I hope that those tips will help someone. Ikenna.
All right. Thank you very, very much for that answer. The fifth question is,
No, we've already done 5.
Talked about this. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can hear. Can you hear me? I can hear you. Go ahead.
Okay, yes, I can hear you, sir. All right, I think you already spoke about this question when you talked about the Nigerian Student Express visa, which is the 2 weeks turnaround. But aside from that express visa, what's the normal turnaround rate for study visas for Canada?
Oh my God, Ikenna, I've heard of people who got approved in 3 weeks or rejected in 3 weeks. I've heard of 2 weeks. I've heard of 4 months. I've heard of 6 months. Honestly, I would have just said go on the IRCC website and there was there's a link there that can tell you what the average turnaround is currently. However, since COVID came, there's even a disclaimer on the IRCC website that they cannot guarantee, the turnaround time now. So unfortunately, there's no answer to that question. If and when they reintroduce the Nigerian Express, the Nigerian Student Express, the promise is 2 weeks. So if you submit all your documentation on time, and this is an important point as well, they're never going to call you and say, hey, you didn't submit this or you're lacking on that. So it's your responsibility to submit all your documentation on time. And then hopefully, you could get approved if you're eligible for the Nigerian Student Express within those 2 weeks turnaround time. But don't also forget that there are other things to consider when you submit your passport, when it comes back to you, how efficient VFS is. VFS is the consultant that helps transmit passports and document and collects biometrics on behalf of the government of Canada. So there are other things to consider. For a student, you also have to do a medical test. That's another thing to consider. So it just takes a bit of planning, and I encourage everybody in the audience to, start to think ahead. I want to study in the fall. What do I need? If I'm going to arrive in Canada in September, what do I need now? And start planning ahead of it. Don't do Nigerian time for in this case. So unfortunately, I don't know the answer to that question. It varies depending on each file.
Okay, thank you very much. One thing I want to highlight from what you just talked about is applying on time. It's a problem with Nigerian students. We tend to wait until the very last second to submit all the documents, to put in the applications, and then things get slow and you start to get worried. So please, to the students and to the families on the webinar today, please, we appeal to you to start your application process as soon as this webinar ends. Okay, you can never be too early, to apply for your studies because, yes, you can never be too early. So you're going to be working with Canadian time, and Canadians are on time every time. So you cannot, use the Nigerian time factor for that. All right. So one final question from me before my colleague Maureen takes over. I'm sure a lot of students are concerned about this as well. So can students work while studying? And if yes, is there any hour limit to the work permission for students?
Yeah. So yes, the answer is yes. So students are typically, if there was no COVID, you can work 20 hours, 5 hours a day when school is in session. When school is out of session, I think it's unlimited as long as your employer is willing to hire you. Since COVID came, obviously things have changed. Many communities are on lockdown. If you are not working in an essential service, like if you were not working in a hospital or Walmart or something like that, you might not be able to put in those 20 hours a week. However, the government of Canada has also made changes to the whole work situation for students. And I understand that now some students may even be eligible to work more than those 20 hours if they were working in essential services. So it's just a way to help students, at least you get some money to buy beer and buy coffee. People should not expect that work is what will pay for your master's program or what will pay for your undergraduate program, because it's usually just minimum wage kind of work. I have met some Nigerian students who were they got jobs that they were earning, I don't know, $18, $19 an hour, which I thought was was very nice, and jobs that had certain responsibilities. But I get this question a lot, so I'm sort of preempting. People say, oh, I'm going to do a master's. Maybe I can work while I'm doing my master's. Yes, you can work, but don't expect that, you will get a job from, I don't know, Total Canada, and they'll pay you the big money that you used to pay for your master's. It's really just work, that can give you some experience, but it's not the kind of, a joke internally is that it's beer money. So while you can work, you have to manage your expectations in that sense. So yes, all international students are eligible, or most international students are eligible to work while they're studying in Canada.
Oh, okay. Thank you very, very much for that. And then on a side note, I would like to add, yes, even though you can work while studying, please remember that your primary purpose in Canada is to study. So, you shouldn't sacrifice your study for work, to try and gain more hours and all that. I'm sure by the time you graduate with very good results, the Canadian government will be more than willing to give you good jobs if you want to stay behind and even if you want to come back. So please, to our students, while you're thinking about studying in Canada, please also put it at the back of your mind that your primary purpose for traveling is to study. Thank you for your time, sir. I'm going to hand over to my colleague, Maureen, who is going to pick some questions from the chat box and will be asking either you or Mr. Yomi, depending on who the question is targeted at. And thank you very much for that, sir.
Thank you, Kenna. Brilliant.
Maureen? Yeah.
All right. So, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. So, I'll be taking questions from the chat box. So, our first question here is from Mary. But I think the Trade Commissioner already answered the question. She says, can you study without IELTS or the likes in Canada?
Well, the IELTS requirement, if you can hear me, Maureen, the IELTS requirement is only for the Nigerian Student Express. So some programs, some university programs may require you to provide IELTS results, but the vast majority of Canadians, knowing that your first degree or your high school you studied in English, they usually typically would waive that requirement. But just so that people are not confused, the IELTS was only a requirement for the Student Express whenever they start it, and that's only for IRCC, not the universities. I hope that explains it.
Okay. Thank you very much. Sir. So the next question is from Abdurazak. I want to study fashion designing. I'm 38 years and I'm married. Been to high school last 2015. Can you advise? I think this question is directed to our counselor. Hello.
Lekon, can you answer the question, please? Lekon, is Lekon there?
Hello, sir. I am, sir. I'm here, sir.
Yeah, can you please answer that question?
Yes, I can. Basically, is when it comes to Canada, that's an impossible task to do. Canada is not even for any destination, because of the long study gap and because you are married. It's not. You need to do something in addition to your home country before you can start considering traveling abroad. It's going to be very impossible. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lekon. So our next question is from Tife. So Tife is asking, can NECO results be used in place of English test? Can I use my NECO result in place of my English test, as in place of IELTS and the rest of them?
Yes, that's possible. Some schools will definitely consider the NECO result, even though they prefer WAEC. Yeah, so it's possible to use NECO result, especially for the colleges. Yeah, for entry into the schools. Yes, NECO result will be accessible for some selected schools. Yeah.
So our
Thank you very much. The next from Sarah. Hello. So the next question is from Sarah. Sarah is asking, please, I want to go for a second degree in veterinary medicine, but I wrote WAEC again to have the science subject. So obviously this person's previous WAEC was based on art subject. So she has to do a recent WAEC just to have the science subject, going for veterinary medicine. So she's asking if there's a way for her to get a school with this course, because she wants to study veterinary medicine and she has to do WAEC again. So she has a recent WAEC. So can she get a school for this course?
Yeah, well, the truth is that if she has the right background, there might be some schools that might say consider her for a second degree. However, having said that, where the challenge will be is the area of the visa, because there are other indices that will be considered. Our age, our finances, and all different, then with our personal statement and work experience. So it's possible. It's worth giving a try, especially if she's not too old and things like that. It's worth giving a try. So she can contact us for more discussion so that we can know more details about her. That will be fine. Yeah.
All right. Thank
Sorry,
you very much.
can I just quickly interrupt, Lekon?
Go on,
A question for you. Could you just clarify, can somebody from high school actually apply for veterinary medicine directly? Because I was under the impression that in the whole of North America, not just Canada, you actually have to do a first degree before you go into med school. Does that also include veterinary medicine? And
No,
honestly,
sir,
I'm not
doesn't.
sure.
Yeah, no, it doesn't include veterinary medicine, sir. There are just 4 courses. That is medicine, law, pharmacy. Yeah, those are the courses you can't do directly as a first degree in Canada. Yes, sir.
Thank you. Thanks, Lekon.
Okay, sorry, just to clarify that, the person actually mentioned that she's going for a second degree. So I believe she already has a science background also, or she already have a background. So she said she wants to go for a second degree.
Yeah, that's fine, Maureen. If you contact us, we'll be able to know more details about us for us to advise very accurately. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Leighton. So the next question is from Deborah. Deborah is asking if you already have a BSc degree that was taught and assessed in English, and you are going for a master's. Yes, you may not need IELTS. Okay, I think she's trying to make reference.
I'm sorry,
to the previous...
Maureen. That's from me giving a reply. Yes, that's a reply, not a question.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much. All right. The next question is from James. Good morning, all. Very importantly, could you possibly state a budget one needs to have for a 2 years post-study degree, assuming one couldn't get a scholarship to support?
Well, the budget for studying in Canada will depend on the school. We'll have to see the school that gave you offer, look at the tuition and the province you are going to, because living expenses varies from one province to another. So it's something we'll have to look at on a case-by-case basis. You can't really say this is the budget you need to study in Canada, because different provinces' living expenses vary from one another. Yeah, so the person needs to contact us for a one-on-one session to also be able to advise accurately. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So the next question is from Kristen. Can one who has a master's degree apply for another master's degree program?
Well, that's very tricky. It basically depends on the field the person is applying to, because I've seen the student who did a first degree in the UK, and I was also able to get a second master's in Canada. But like I said, if it's a case-by-case basis, it depends on a lot of things. Even if you do get admission to a school, the visa requirement is another thing. Whether you are able to meet the visa requirement, that's where the bone of contention usually is. Because most students do get the admission, and again, because many schools over there, of course, they want students, but you now meeting the visa requirement to be able to really go to Canada, that's where the challenge usually is. Yeah, so it's something we have to really look at, and look at the visa, if the person can meet the visa requirements that they want. Yeah.
All right, thank you very
Sorry,
much.
sorry, Maureen. Yeah, I want to step in a bit just to add to what Lincoln just mentioned. There's no law that prohibits a student from going in for a second master's in Canada, but just like the trade commissioner said, it's very important for the student to ensure that the personal statement makes sense. There should be a very explainable reason why a student would like to go in for a second master. So you don't just write a personal statement without providing a clear explanation as to why you seek to have a second master. So it's about writing a personal statement that makes sense and providing a justification for pursuing a second master's.
Thank you very much for that clarification. So the next question is from Chizoba. Chizoba is asking, I wrote WISE since 2017, and I want to apply for a pre-med program in Canada. Is it possible, or will age limit my chances of getting admission?
Well, the student didn't mention his or her age. The truth is that for the minimum study gap that most schools look at or are set after your WAEC is 2 years. So once especially for undergraduate program, once it's more than 2 years, many schools start turning you down because they know that it's going to affect your visa processing, especially if you don't have something reasonable to say you've been doing between them that is highly related to the course you are looking to apply to. Yeah, it's going to affect the person. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much, Lincoln. So, and the next question is from Okeyemi. What degree or master's can I do with HND certificate in Canada?
Well, the student for Canadian university education system, as it were, HND is not required or acceptable for entry into master's program. The program the person can apply for is called an advanced diploma, which is a 3-year course. So after doing the advanced diploma, then you can then upgrade to a degree. So using HND for entry into Canada is a very, very long route. So it's advisable the person goes to maybe another destination where you can upgrade your HND to a BSc, then after which you can then apply to Canada. That's the best advice, really. Yeah.
All right.
And to also mention, Maureen, sorry, to also mention, it's important for any student who has a HND to consider the short conversion program like the top up. The top up allows students the opportunity to round up and they obtain a bachelor's degree in just 1 year. So that option could be found in some of our study destinations like the United Kingdom. So just in case the student may want to consider that, so this is worth noting. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. The next question is from Semidayo. Hi, I have a third class from a Nigerian university, but I have up to 3 years work experience. How do I get admission?
Well, for such a student that has third class, she's in the same shoes with someone who has an HND. Yeah, it's not someone who has HND. Better to look at other destinations other than Canada. Yeah, that's the truth.
All right, thank you. So the next question is from Sadiq. Sadiq is asking, any master's program for agricultural science graduates?
Yeah, different schools in Canada have options for agricultural graduates, depending on the school. But the schools we work with presently, they don't have those options. Yeah, but you can explore other schools in Canada to get the options they want.
All right. Thank you very much, Lekon. So the next question is from Tony. Tony is asking, hello, Mr. Yomi. Please, which of the schools you work with offers a 2-year program? I'm not sure I understand this person's question. Is it 2 year for a master's program now?
Exactly. You need to clarify for us very well for us to be able to know. Yeah.
Yeah. Tony, so please, you might want to send in your question again. So the next question is from Martin. Can I get a scholarship from any high delegate from the country?
Any high delegate? What does it mean by that?
I really don't understand the question.
We should move on.
Please, Martin, you might want to clarify us more on your question. The next question is from BD. Are health undergraduate programs available?
Maureen, can't hear you again.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, we can now.
Okay, sorry, I said the next question is from BD. Are health undergraduate programs available? Do we have schools offering health undergraduate programs?
Yes, we do. We do have schools that are offering related health programs. Yeah, you can contact us so that we can give them the different options of. We have quite a number of options for undergraduates when it comes to health courses. Yeah, in Canada. Just try to contact us for further information, please.
So BD, so please, you will see our contact details on the chat box also. So wherever you are, your location, just contact the phone number attached to the office. Thank you very much. So the next question is from Kristen. Please, can someone with BSc still apply for another BSc in Canada? That the person is already done with their undergraduate program. The person is asking if they can apply for another program, undergraduate program in Canada.
Yeah, it's possible, of course, but of course, where like we've said earlier, the personal statement will have to do justice on why the person wants to apply for a second degree when it comes to the visa process.
And I think the age too matters.
Yeah, you are correct about that one.
Undergraduate program. We're not talking about master's program, so you might want to consider your age also. So the next question is from Danjima. Hi, I'm Danjima. Can someone who read BSc Accounting apply for MSc Developmental Economics in Canada?
Yes, that's for accounting and developmental economics. Yeah, those are two closely related courses, especially if the person has a relevant work experience to back it up. Yes, very, very possible. Yeah.
Okay, so Danjima, I hope that answers your question. So since they are like similar background, I think you can study developmental economics. Thank you very much, Lekon. So the next question is from Samuel. I studied in industrial physics and was doing a PGD in petroleum and gas engineering at Unicorn. Can I do my master's at Canada studying forestry?
Well, if he gets a school that do give him admission, where most times students do get admission. Where the challenge is for Nigerian students is always in the visa processing. That's the truth. Yeah. So is how the best counsel they get for the visa counsel and all that's all determine the person will be successful, because the admission is just a means to an end. Getting the visa itself is the end of the process. So there are many people who can have 4 admissions, 5 admissions, but getting the visa is where the challenge usually is. Yeah. So the person should contact us so that we can know the best advice to give to them. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. So the next question is from John. Are there scholarships available for master's degree? If any, do you assist in the application?
Well, most schools usually publish the different scholarship opportunities they have available, especially for those schools where you are able to get a master's admission. The scholarship usually comes automatically because most of their master's programs are research based. So if you are able to get an admission in any Canadian universities, the likelihood of you getting a scholarship is very, very high. Yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So the next question is from Eminike. What option do you have for a married woman with young kids who wants to further her studies in Canada? So I'm not sure I understand this question. So
Hello.
if you mean for that, it can be masters, it can be undergraduate, it can be PhD, sorry.
Hello, Maureen. Please let me interrupt here. I can see that we have a lot of questions, but there are no questions aimed at Mr. Yomi or the Trade Commissioner. So what we will do now is we would the webinar still goes on, and we will take as many questions as possible, but we need to let the Trade Commissioner exit because he has another webinar for in another country, and then he needs to go and attend to that as well. So Mr. Okonkun, thank you very much for your time. Can you hear me? Are you still here, sir?
Yes, I can hear you. I really enjoyed it. Thank you. You guys are doing the work of the Lord. Thanks a lot.
Thank you very, very much, sir. We really
Thank you very much.
appreciate you joining
All right.
us. Thank you very much, sir.
Take care. Bye.
All right.
Yeah, thanks, Okoko. Thanks so much. So we catch up at the Ghana webinar.
All right, thank you very much.
Okay. Yes, sure.
So the next question is from Sammy Laurie. Good afternoon. I just wrote my WAEC last year. Do I need to write IELTS before I can apply to university? So I think these questions are
Maureen, I think you need to unmute yourself.
Hello, Maureen, can you hear us?
Okay, I think you might need to assist her for now.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, I think she's having a little. Yes, Maureen, we can hear you now. Is your internet back?
Okay. Sorry, please. Maureen, thank you so much for the moderation. Kena, thank you too. I could see there are too many questions bordering on scholarships and discounts. So just to clarify, because we may spend longer time if we keep taking questions on scholarship and discounts. So just to clarify, for majority of our partner universities in Canada offering discounts and scholarships, they usually notify us of this ahead of time and then include some of the information on the offer letter when it is made available to the applicant. Usually, full scholarship is something that we cannot really give a guarantee. Of course, given that not too many schools are quite generous with full scholarships, but discounts are feasible. We can for majority of our schools offering discounts, we can notify students accordingly of what discounts they may get from our partner universities. So the advice would be first, get in touch with our counselors for one-on-one session to specifically talk about your interest, look at the qualification you have and your academic background generally, and be able to advise on what will work best for you. The contact numbers are already on the screen. Feel free to get in touch with any of the counselors. We have about 7 offices in Nigeria. So these are the details of some of our counselors. Should you wish to get in touch with any other office not listed on this screen, please feel free to do that. I would ask my colleague Maureen to please drop the full list of our offices, our branches in Nigeria with their respective contact numbers, so people could easily get in touch with any of our offices. So look for the office closest to you and reach out to them for further guidance and instruction regarding scholarships and how to put in an application to enable you get the scholarships. Thank you very much. And then I could see that Lekon has been the one taking the questions. Damilari, you could step in at some point to support Lekon accordingly. Thank you.
All right. So thank you, Mr. Martins. I have dropped the addresses and the email contact details for all our offices in Nigeria. So please check the chat box and you can send an email to the office closest to you, and we'll be very happy to assist you. So, Maureen, over to you again, and then maybe Mr. Damilari would now assist with answering the questions. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Ikena. Thank you, Mr. Martin. So the next question is from Safia. At what point does one apply for a study permit? Is it prior to application for visa or upon arrival in Canada before commencement of academic program?
Sorry, can you take that again, please?
So the person is asking, at what point does one apply for a study permit? So I'm not sure I understand this person. I don't know if the person is asking for the post-study visa, but she's asking, is it prior to application for the visa or upon arrival in Canada before commencement of the
Maureen,
academic?
yes, Maureen, I think the person's question is it's somewhat clear. So the person wants to know at what point they can apply for the study permit. Now, basically, the initial thing to do would be first, go through the requirements for your proposed program, go through that with our counselors. Our counselors are more than happy to provide that support to you. Determine your suitability for the program. Our counselors could also help you to determine your suitability for the program you wish to apply to. And then once you have the complete documents, the dedicated counselor would assist you with an application to your choice university. An offer will be made available to you by the university. And then at that point, the expectation would be that you should start putting together all your documents for visa application. Now, before you talk about visa application, you should have paid tuition fee to the university, received the visa support letter from the university before you can start your visa application in earnest. Now, our counselors are on ground and available to support you and guide you through the entire visa application process, support you in the completion of the visa application form and through the rest of the processes. So it is at the point you have received an offer, made the financial commitment to the university, that you can commence your visa application process. I hope that answers the question.
I think that did.
All right, thank you very much. So the next question is from Nina. The next question is from Nina. Nina is asking, are there courses available for fashion and fashion designing in any of your partner universities / college? Will there be job placement after studying?
Okay, so at the moment, there are no fashion programs with our university partners that are offering postgraduate studies. But hopefully very soon we'll have more university partners that will be offering that course.
This person, can you hear me?
So just to reiterate, for our postgraduate options, we're limited to 2 at the moment. We are looking to extend or have more options to offer our postgraduate audience, our postgraduate applicants. But in the meanwhile, we just have 2 universities in our portfolio, Thompson Rivers University and University of the Canada West. Yes, thank you so much for sharing that screen. Now, if you look at the screen, you would see some of the courses available for postgraduate applicants. Courses available to postgraduate applicants. You would see courses in business management, that's business administration, MBA. You would see a master's degree in environmental economics and management. Then Thompson Rivers also offer masters in education, masters of nursing, masters of science in data science, masters of science in environmental science, and a graduate diploma in business administration, graduate certificate in educational studies. These are basically the postgraduate options or offerings available at Thompson Rivers University. Now, we are also affiliated to University of Canada West, located in Vancouver. And then for the postgraduate option, we have the Master of Business Administration and the MBA Foundation. Now, the MBA Foundation is an option for students who are coming from other backgrounds and who do not have the requirements to get onto the Master of Business Administration program. So for such students, the best option for you would be the MBA Foundation. So please take note of these. Hopefully, in the coming months, we would have more university offerings to our postgraduate audience. Thank you so much.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Martin. So the next question is from Isioma. I have a BSc Geography. I have a BSc Geography and Regional Planning with a second class lower. Can I apply directly for Masters? So I think your question now is, the person is asking if you can do geology in Canada. We don't have options for that now. All we have is majorly business courses. So I hope that answered your question. So the next question is from Blessing. I studied counseling psychology in education. Can I apply for a psychology for master's degree? So Blessing is asking if they can apply for MSc psychology.
Okay, first, we don't have such an option. So, Blessing, unfortunately, we're sorry we don't have that option for you. Like I mentioned, ab initio, the options we have for our postgraduate applicants are basically business-related courses, and then courses in environmental sciences and nursing. So we don't have anything in psychology.
All right, thank you very much. So the next one is from Bemiga. I'm an undergraduate aspiring to study mathematics and computer science in Canada. What is the first step to take? Hello, Damilari, are you there? Hello.
Hello, Mr. Damilari.
Damilari, are you there?
Okay, Maureen, could you please take that question again? I'm happy to give an answer, please.
Okay. So the person is saying that is an undergraduate student aspiring to study mathematics and computer science in Canada. So the person is asking what's the first step to take?
Okay, that's fine. So we would need to know what year the student completed the secondary school, what year the student attained the WIRE qualification. That's the first thing. Then we would need to also know the person's strength. You know, the WIRE result would give us an idea of the person's strength in terms of the subject areas that will be useful for an application to a university for the student proposed program. Now that will be the start point. And then secondly, we need to also find out the person's budget. We have different universities offering different courses relating to mathematics. We also have other universities that offer something in statistics. So we need to understand the student's budget. And then once we know the student's budget, we will know what university to recommend to the student. Then secondly, the student will need to start making arrangements to put up the personal statement. The personal statement is key. Some people call it letter of intent. The letter of intent details exactly why you want to study that course, what you studied previously, the relevance of your previous qualification to the course you want to do. Now, the personal statement has to be detailed and it should reflect genuinely your intention. So once we have the personal statement and then the complete list of the requirements for an application, then we can formally put in an application to the student's choice university. So the take home here is, first, get in touch with any of our counselors. The contact numbers on the screen. Discuss your interest. The counselor will be able to determine your suitability for your proposed program and then take things forward with you. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. So the next person, okay, this person got a visa rejection. So, Ekene is asking, I would like to know why my visa application was rejected after having paid my tuition fee and acquired an accommodation in Canada, that's homestay accommodation. The reason given by the visa officer, that's the VO, is that he was not convinced that I'll return after my studies. What could have been, what could have been in my application that suggested the reason given?
Maureen, can I answer that question, please?
Okay, all right.
Yeah, please.
Thank you, Mr.
Yeah, I stressed in my application the essence of the study plan, which is the personal statement, and I think the trade commissioner also emphasized on that when he was, answering some of the questions. So it's very important that it makes sense at the end of the day when you are making your application. I mean, the personal statement is not just something you write and just say, okay, let me just write something like just to get admission. No, it has to explain your situation and it has to add up. It has to make sense why you are taking on that journey. I mean, going on a course, traveling to another company, another country, investing a lot of money. I mean, it's a journey that you need to explain that, okay, what will this impact in my life right now? Where am I going with this journey? Where am I starting from? At the end of this journey, where will it lead me to? I mean, those are the kind of things that the immigration officers will be looking for in your application overall, regardless of the fact that you are paid tuition fee or not. The intent matters a lot. That's why the personal statement needs to be worked on. You might probably need to have some people, look over it and ensure that this is in line with what you've done. As simple as those write-ups are, they can make or mar your application. We cannot overemphasize the fact that you need to make it make sense. And, that's why probably you might need to even have someone look into your situation, and we offer some of the services as free services. If you walk into any of our offices and you're applying to one of our partners, our counselors will be happy to look through your personal statement and help you to package it in such a way that at least to make more sense. That's so it might actually be from the personal statements that that person wrote that the fault is from. I mean, if there are no fraudulent documents, I mean that's the only explanation I feel. It might not be convincing enough to the immigration officer. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, Mr. Yomi. So, Ekene, I hope that answered the question. The next question is for Chidi. For self-sponsored postgraduate students, do we have to have our full tuition fee before we apply for a visa?
Okay. So that question, apparently you need to demonstrate that you have enough funds to pay for your tuition fee and living expenses for the period of your stay of your study in Canada before you can apply for visa. So yes, you need to demonstrate that you have funds in your account that you can apply, that you can sustain yourself in Canada.
Okay, so to add to what Damilare said, because the student's question is if they need to pay the fees in full before they apply for visa. It's important to work with the guideline provided by the university you have applied to. Some of the universities have a benchmark, which often would be captured on the offer letter. For some of the schools, they will clearly specify what percentage of the tuition they would like to get from you. Now, if you pay that percentage, you will need to still provide evidence that you can afford the cost of your study by having a suitable bank account that covers the total cost of your study, including your living expenses. Now, that way, your application process will be somewhat seamless, and then you are most likely going to have your visa granted. Although we do not give guarantee for visa application, we only ensure that we support the students properly to ensure that they get their visas in good time. So one thing to take note of, it is not compulsory that you must have your full tuition fee paid to the university you have applied to before you can commence your visa application. So you need to work with the provisions of the university you have applied to. If they state on the offer that you need to pay $8,000 towards tuition, so you can work with that information, and that will be their benchmark. It doesn't preclude that you cannot pay your fees in full. If you choose to pay your fees in full, that is also fine, but you must work with the benchmark provided by the university you have applied to. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much, Mr. Martin. So the next question is from Obodu. So Obodu is saying that I have BSc Electrical Electronics Engineering with a second class upper. How can I apply for my master's? So like we said earlier, we don't have options. We don't have this option for masters at the moment. So hopefully with time we'll sign in more schools that will provide these options at electrical engineering options at master's level. So what we have basically now is more of the business related courses. So the next question is from Damilola. The person is asking Mr. Yomi, please reshare the slide on your partner schools for postgraduate studies. Hello, Mr. Yomi. Hello.
Hello, Maureen. I've just done that. I've just shared that slide. So the slide is up right now for the.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay.
So, Damilola, I hope you can see that now. So the next question is from Johnny. And questions have been answered previously. So the next question for other universities that are not partners of the UK. I don't think I understand this person's question. Can I apply for other universities that are not partners of the UK? I don't understand this person's question. Tina, you might want to resend your question, please. Thank you.
I'm thinking the person means that schools we don't partner with, probably UKEAS, schools that UKEAS don't partner with.
Okay. So Tina, no, you cannot apply for schools that we don't partner with. We can only work. Well, thank you. So the next question is Daniel. I have a BSc in industrial chemistry, second class upper. Can I apply to study in Canada? Sorry, Daniel, we don't have options available at the moment for chemistry at master's level. So the next question is from Ken. How soon can I start application in early 2022? Hello, Damilare.
Hello.
Hello.
Okay, so hello, can you hear me? I'm having network issues here.
Yes, I can hear you loud ahead.
Hello, Leko, can you come back?
Yeah.
Can you come?
Can I apply?
Okay.
Okay, basically, it's advisable for students to apply, especially for master's program. Yes, I got the question. It's advisable for students to apply for master's program application a year before the entry year they are looking at. One, because they need to get supervisors and they need to put in the application a year before the entry year you are looking at. It's always advisable for you to put in your application before then. Yeah, that's advisable. Hello, Maureen, you can go on.
So, Kevin, if you are looking at early 2022, it's better you start your application now.
Yes,
okay.
That's correct.
Thank you very much, Lekon. So,
IK, I suspect Maureen is having internet challenge.
Open for masters.
IK, could you please step in? Yes, Maureen, would you kindly allow IK to step in? I could see that you're having some issues with your internet because we could barely hear you. So IK, if you're here, could you please step in and then continue to read out the questions from where Maureen stopped?
Yes, of course, sir.
All right, thank you.
All right. So the next question is from Obodo Kingsley, and he's asking, is it advisable for one who has BSc in electrical electronics engineering to apply for a course like computer science or data science? Or better still, what are the best courses I can go for if I want to venture into a course that is not engineering for my master's? So,
Yeah, yeah. Well, basically, it's a student can do that, especially if he has a related work experience to back that up. I mean, that switch in career path. I mean, electrical electronics is, I mean, he has some related courses to computer science or what's called data analytics. If a student has a good work experience to back that up, yeah, very possible. It's advisable for students to go for that. Yeah.
Okay, thank you very much. I do have a question from Chizoba, and she says, I'm 20 years old, will be 21 by June, studying medicine in the Enugu State University of Technology, College of Medicine. Is it possible to use my first year transcript to get into a medical school in Canada? I will just quickly answer this. Chizoba, like we mentioned earlier, medicine is a second degree course in Canada and the US. So most North American schools take medicine as a second degree, not as a first degree. So you should have finished a first degree in a related course for you to go in for medicine. So from your question, I assume that you haven't completed any bachelor's degree prior to now. So you would not be able to get in directly. I don't think you'll be able to get in directly to a medical school in Canada since you have to finish a bachelor's in the first place. So
Yeah. You can,
yes,
I would like, yeah, I would like to add to that.
yes,
Basically,
please.
it's good we clarify this to students now. For when it comes to those courses like medicine, law, and pharmacy that you cannot do as a first degree in Canada, it's not just the fact that you cannot do it as a first degree in Canada, it's also the fact that you cannot do it having an international student status in Canada. It means you have to have changed your status from being an international student to either a temporary residence holder before you can apply to those courses. Yeah, that's what it means. Not just, yeah, so not just a second degree in that sense. There's also another caveat to it. You must have changed your status from, so it means do a first degree, qualify for a 3-year work permit, work for 2 years out of that 3 years work permit, then be able to apply for your temporary residence. So it's a longer route for those kind of courses in Canada. So it's always advisable for students who don't have age on their side to just look at other destinations like the UK or Ireland, Dublin, that you can do medicine and all those courses as a first degree. Yeah, that's the truth. Thank you.
Okay, okay. Thank you very much for that, Mr. Lekon. Um, and I think the reason why, most North American schools are very strict on those courses is because, those courses have to do with human lives. So they want to be sure that whoever is getting a certificate to practice those courses in their country is fully licensed and thoroughly taught. So those routes can be usually longer than normal studies. I think I have a question from Samuel. If I understand this question correctly, he says, can visa be granted to someone servicing a bank loan in Nigeria? Meaning someone who's using a bank loan to fund their studies to the UK. Mr. Lekon, have you had any experience with this?
Not really, but when it comes to Canada, they want to be sure that you have access, I mean, to the funds that you want to use it. In fact, for any country, when it comes to visa application, you want to be sure that you have direct access and immediate access to any funding you are presenting to them for purpose of visa application. So loan is going to be very, they will think there's a possibility that you are not granted the loan or something happens and things like that. Yeah, so it's very tricky.
Yes, it's quite tricky. In my experience, I think if you've gotten the loan and those funds are already in your account, I don't know if it's possible to try that as against having a loan letter, using a loan letter to support your visa application. So, like Mr. Lekon says, it's quite tricky. So I would really advise you to get in touch with the closest UKEAS office so that we can discuss it in detail. All right, it's very, very, very important. Yes. Let me see. Okay, someone asked, Orolua is asking, can I get a Canadian student visa if I have been issued a ban in the UK or have been refused a US visa? I will just quickly answer that. I think that has been mentioned earlier. Most schools will be very cautious, especially if you have gotten a ban in the UK, because having a ban usually results from fraud or really dubious activities. So it's going to be quite challenging for any school, especially schools that share immigration histories with each other, or rather countries that share immigration histories with each other, which is the US, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, the UK, Ireland. These countries have shared data, and so it will be quite challenging, okay, to um, get a student visa if you have been issued a ban. But of course, if you just have a refusal, there are so many reasons why you could be refused, especially for US visas. Sometimes you apply for a student visa and the visa officer is not convinced you will return. um, we can discuss that on a case by case basis. So please get in touch with the UKEAS office closest to you, and then ask to speak with a counselor who specializes in Canadian schools, and he or she will be able to help you out with that. Magnus is asking, how long does it take to process a Canadian visa? I think the trade commissioner we had on earlier answered that question. It varies for now, but we are hoping that as soon as the Nigerian Student Express visa comes into effect, it would take a maximum of 2 weeks. So that's what we've been promised, the 2 weeks turnaround time for the Nigerian Student Express visa. But for now, since that has not been firmly in place, it varies. So the best advice we can give you, Mr. Magnus, is to make sure you start applying from right now. In fact, once you get off the webinar, please get in touch with the UKS office closest to you so that you can start your process. The earlier, the better, please. Okay, so Damilola is asking for scholarships for master's program. Again, we've covered that. Most schools do have some sort of discount, so that would usually come in with your offer letter. So I think you should apply first, get in touch with the UKS office and make an application. And then if there are any discounts, the counselor who is assisting you will be able to give you more detail on that. David is asking, I have a strong 2-2 and graduated in 2013 with a BSc Computer Science. Are there any chances of admission considering the fact that I will be 30 this year? Mr. Lakon, sorry, can you help with that?
Yeah, well, you can apply, but the truth is that the schools will need to look at your CGPA to see if it meets up with your entry requirement, because most students who easily get admission into Canadian universities finish with second class upper. So they will need to see how well your CGPA is. If it's in the boundary, they can still consider and things like that. Yeah, so it depends on the school you're applying to, basically. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Lakon. Samuel is asking for age limit for master's program in Canada. Mr. Lakon, can you help with that?
There's really no age limit for the admission. Where the age limit there's really no age limit for visa also. It just depends on your situation and how well you can write your statement of intent when it comes to the visa. That's what we've been emphasizing. So just statement of intent is there's no age limit at all. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that. Eunice is asking what Canadian universities are in partnership with UKEAS. Okay, so Eunice, I am assuming you came in quite late because Mr. Yomi shared that in details, the universities we work with. So what I would advise you, Eunice, is to get in touch with the closest UKEAS office, because we're expecting some more partnerships aside from the ones that we currently have or that were currently displayed in the webinar today. So please get in touch with the UKEAS office closest to you to get a full list of the Canadian universities that we are in partnership with, because I've heard some information that we do have some other ones, Memorial University, Lethbridge, and some other ones. So please, for a full list of the universities we work with, please make sure you get in touch with the UKEAS office closest to you. Uche is asking.
Sorry. Yeah,
yes, sir.
just to give some level of clarity. For now, the two universities we are affiliated to are Thompson Rivers University and the University of Canada West. Now, the other universities you mentioned are in the pipeline. We have not yet firmed up agreement with them. So hopefully in the next coming month, we will have more universities to add in our portfolio for our postgraduate applicants. Yes. So take note. And then please, could you run through the questions so quickly, because we have another event by 2:00, so it's important we conclude the questions as soon as possible, so the host can have a breather before going in for the next session at 2:00. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Martins. So what I would advise our guests is please get the details of the UKEAS office closest to you, and then of course our counselors' numbers are also displayed on the screen. So please get that down now, because we might be rounding up this webinar very soon. I will just take maybe 2-3 more questions, and then we'll call it a day. So let me just quickly scroll down to see if there are any peculiar questions, not repeated questions. If I do not answer your question, it means your question had probably been answered, so you were not around when that question was answered, but that's fine. Like I said, get in touch with the UKEAS office closest to you, and our counselors will be very, very happy to answer any question you have regarding studying in Canada. Let me see, is there any peculiar questions for Canada? Just give me a second, let me scroll through. Most of these questions have been answered. Scholarship opportunities, get in touch with the UKEAS office for scholarship opportunities. Omotola is asking a unique question. She says, what illnesses can be a deal breaker during visa processing? Okay, that's different. Mr. Lekon.
Yeah, well, we cannot really say. The truth is that the Canadian officer, when it comes to visa, they require all students to go through a medical procedure. So during that medical procedure, if they discover anything they feel would be a deal breaker that they won't want to allow you to come in, they will let you know. They will explain to you in a very very polite way, and yeah, basically it's during the medical that's when they can discover that. So it's not something we can say for certain now that this is what will happen. Yeah.
Okay, thank you for that, Mr. Leko. Angela is asking if we can throw more light on transfer student, that is a student who is already studying in a Nigerian university but wants to transfer to a Canadian university. Mr. Lekon, do you have any experience with this?
Yeah, that's possible. Is acceptable. Our undergraduate partner universities, they do accept that. But basically, one important document that we would need to see is the transcript of what you have studied so far in Nigeria, because that's what they will use in assessing you to know what level they can admit you into. Yeah, it's very possible. You can contact us. We'll be happy to assist you with that. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much. All right. So I don't think there is any question that hasn't been taken care of. Please, if we did not read out your question, please forgive us, because we do have to end now. I would post the details for our offices one more time. You know, the email addresses for all our offices in Nigeria, and then you also have the phone numbers of our dedicated counselors on your screen right now. So please, please, please try and get in touch with the UKEAS office closest to you, and we will be very, very happy to answer all your inquiries regarding studying in Canada and other study destinations. I would like to say a big thank you to Mr. Yomi for taking out time out of his busy schedule to attend this webinar. And I would also like to say a big thank you to my other colleagues who have helped to moderate and answer questions regarding studying in Canada, and other colleagues who have been working in the background to make this event a success. Thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Martins. Thank you, Maureen. Thank you, Lakon. Thank you, Mr. Damilare and Deborah, Mr. Joseph, and I can see some other colleagues in the background. A thank you, big thank you to each and every one of you. So on behalf of UKEAS, I would like to bring this webinar to a close. Before I round up, please kindly remember to reach out to the UKEAS office closest to you. And please remember that all our services are free. You know, why try to do this on your own and risk being rejected when you can get expert advice from the UKEAS team free of charge? I mean, I don't see there's no drawback to that. You know, we're not charging you for anything. So it's really, really important that you get in touch with our office, okay? And ask as many questions as you can. All right. So thank you very much. Thank you everyone for attending, for giving us your audience today, and do enjoy the rest of your weekend. Thank you.
Thank you all. Bye.
Thank you, Kina.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you, Matilda.
Thank you.
Thank you,
All
Mr.
right. Thank you so
Damilare.
much.
Thank you, Matilda. Yes.
Okay. All right. Bye.
Yes, Matilda. Thank you very much. You've been very instrumental in making this a success. Thank you very, very much. We really appreciate your time and your help.
You're welcome. Thank you to everybody as well, members of
All
our
right.
team. Bye bye.
Yes. Bye. Hello, Mrs. Jumoke. Can you hear me? Hello? Hello? You are just joining us. Hello, I can see some people who are just joining us. Please, the exhibition has ended. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to post the chat room, the list of the UKEAS offices. So you could take down the detail of the office closest to you, and you can reach out to any of our offices for any information you need to know about studying abroad or studying in Canada. All right, so please check the chat box, and you would get the details of the UKEAS offices closest to you, and then you can reach out to us via that medium, because this webinar just ended a few minutes ago, and so the chat room will be closed in the next 3 minutes. Thank you.